Hello, this is Stephen Leptak. I'm just standing outside Tiger Lily in Edinburgh, venue for this year's Chip Shop Awards. With me I have world famous designer Michael Wolff, who was also chairman of the jury this year for the Chip Shop Awards. I'm just going to ask him a few questions about his thoughts on the event this year. Michael, can I start by asking, what was your impression of this year's entries? Were you impressed by the standard of work that you saw?
You know what, I would have thought that was an easy question, and it isn't.
Right.
Because there's so much work done these days, there's so many companies doing so many things for so many people,
Sure.
that what's good doesn't shine out the way that it used to when there was a huge amount of bad work. So simply because quality standards have gone up, it's hard. It's a bit like movies, you know, so many great movies now, it's very hard to say which was the best. There was a bit of that. But no, there's some good, fresh, interesting, disrespectful work, which is what you want to see.
What do you think of the awards in general? Do you have an opinion on the Chip Shop Awards?
I think what's good about them is that they are, I mean, all awards are about individual people, but these are more about individual people than they are about the companies they come from or the clients they work for. And I think that's the real thing that Chip Shop brings to this arena. It's got that respect and interest in individual creativity, and that's what makes it great.
Was there any particular piece of work that you thought was particularly impressive? Well, what stood out for you? Really?
Well, there was.
What it was?
It's going to win an award later tonight, so I hope nobody's going to see this before the morning. It was a little window sticker, and it was by a window cleaner, and it said, "If you can read this, I'm doing a good job." Now, what was good about it was I saw a poster in America, and it said, huge billboard, 60 meters or something, and it said, "Got a life, insure it." And I thought, that's so quick, that's so immediate, that if work hasn't got that kind of speed and depends on you thinking, what does that mean, you're gone. So I picked that because it was fresh, because it did a good job for the window cleaner. You thought he was good, it was authentic, and it just stood out for me. You know, it didn't look like professional work, it looked like creative work, which is a slightly different thing.
Is there a piece of work of your own that you remember well, that you created but was never used, that you could possibly have entered for the Chip Shops?
No, I can't. I mean, I can't just like that. But I'm sure there are quite a lot of things. I mean, I've done things that never been ashamed of anything, but I've done things that the client looks at and immediately tells you the most fundamental flaw in it. Right. You think like it's in the wrong language. I mean, almost like that. Right. But you think, oh no, that was such a great idea. I tell you one. We worked for Harrods a long time ago, and what we wanted to do was to write a novel, like a Dickens novel, and take it all the way through all their packaging. So the packaging was just a continuous story. So when you came to some biscuits, it was about somebody having tea with Auntie Jane or whatever it was. We thought this was absolutely the cat's whiskers. They thought, what are these people doing here? These are meant to be designers, what's going on? And it was just a complete like...
Why did they not use it then?
Because they were looking for an appearance rather than an idea, I think. And you know, they'd hired designers, or designers are meant to make something look like something, not come up with an idea based on language. Right. So I think that's why that one slipped up. But it was great. I think they could still do it, actually.
Is there any advice that you would like to give to any young designers starting out in the industry at the moment? It's a tough time for everyone. Is there anything you'd like to say to them?
Yeah, trust your own creativity. Don't spend time making your work look like what you think good work should look like. Right. In other words, you know, look at the problem and wait for your own creativity to solve it. Don't hide behind something that you think looks like good work. Because that happens a lot. I mean, I do that myself sometimes. You catch yourself and you think, oh, I want this to look like great work, and you end up imitating what somebody else has done. So no, it's a great time to be in this business. There's no question about it.
And can I ask, what inspires you creatively? What makes you do your best work?
What inspires me, I saw a movie 2 nights ago called Man on Wire. And it's a French tightrope walker who smuggled his tightrope into the Trade Center, the World Trade Center in New York, and walked between the two. You have to see this movie. It's an act of supreme courage and creativity, and it makes you feel like a wimp when you see it. It's just awesome. I mean, just the sheer courage of it and the beauty of it. And it made me think, I wish they'd rebuilt the Twin Towers as they were and just gone, excuse me, I think, because they were unbelievably beautiful buildings. And in this movie, you see how beautiful they are, and you see the sweat of putting them up, and the metal, and the huge beams, and an amazing achievement as a piece of architecture. And then the beauty of this bloke walking across and dancing, lying down on the tightrope and teasing the police. I just came away, I couldn't sleep. It was just inspirational. I mean, I'm really high on it now.
Great.
Just great. You have to see it.
Have you done anything as a result of it? Have you kind of sat down and...
No, I'm just flying on it now.
Right,
Watch this space.
right.
Yeah.
Last question, I guess, should be,
Yeah.
is there one piece of work then for your career that you're most proud of?
For me,
Yes.
there is actually. No one's ever asked me that. There is. And it was for a model maker. And it was in the 70s. And this guy was a great model maker, but there are plenty of great model makers. And I said to him, what is it about your model making? What is it about great model making? He said, well, it's two things. It's trust, that people trust you, and it's supreme accuracy. And I thought to myself, supreme accuracy. There's some rules, I don't know if they still exist, made by an American company called Staedtler, scale rules. And they are, I mean, they're a kind of a precision that makes school rulers look like a pair of galoshes or something. Okay. They're really accurate. And we took these rules and printed them all around his stationery, all around his business cards, all around everything. Well, every time he went in to see a client, an architect, first thing they would do is take his paper and stack it up against the scale rule. And because it was printed on the right paper by the right printers, it was perfect. And almost every time he gave his business card to anybody, he got the job. Now, I can't say that's ever happened to me before or since. So no one's ever heard of it. He's probably out of business now. But that's the job I'm most proud of, because it hit the nail on the head.
Well, Michael,
that's it.
Thank you very much for talking to me. Welcome to the